Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 hello. Let's stop that now. Hi. Just waiting for anybody that wants to join in because everyone's being notified right now that I'm live. And but I am here. It is the usual start time, Wednesday night at 6:30 here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm just talking right now to fill space and time because I'm just waiting for people to tune in. We're going to be talking tonight, as the banner says, about dreaming out loud. I'm going to show that actually. Let's make that a ticker tape. We're going to scroll that right there. That's what we're going to be talking about. Dreaming out loud, a vision without a plan and without an action plan is just a dream. And because, it's so common for people to dream about a world that they want to see or dream about a life that they want to have. But the moment where we go to take those action steps to make that a reality, things start to fall apart or just don't even happen at all. So we're going to be talking today about how that happens, why that happens, and what some good action steps are for easily moving from having a dream to making that dream a reality. We're going to do that tonight. So I'm just watching the numbers because we're 2 minutes in and just checking to see if anybody's joining or how many people are joining. So bear with us as the way this works with live streams and checking in with everybody as they're coming in and joining. But definitely great to see you. When the live streams are done, they get posted automatically to YouTube, so you can watch replays there. And I'm just kind of going through all of this right now just to see where everyone's at. And let's see, comment live. Okay, pause that. There we go. And all right, but in order to keep everyone moving and flowing, we're going to just go forward and say hi to everyone that's here. And thank you very much for joining. And we're going to get into this content because there's a lot of it tonight. I want to keep it to the hour. So we're going to move through this. And I think it's really useful. I think what I do find is that some topics tend to draw in more viewers than others. And the intention of this is, of course, to have people be able to chat live with me. The reason why this is a live stream and not just a recording is because I do want for people to be able to join in live on YouTube or in Facebook and ask questions about this content and present something that, I want you to be able to present what you're going through, get clarifications, and we can even workshop some of the ideas of what you're going through. Because sometimes getting ideas in a video doesn't really give us it gives it, like in my content, it's going to give you a clear vision of the steps to take. But what I find is some people have very direct, very specific situations, and they don't know how to apply the information towards their specific situation. So again, the whole point of this being a live coaching call, in a way, a live coaching video, is that you can actually give me a specific situation that you're going to that might be regarding this content that we're talking about, and I'll help you to apply it to your specific situation live. Hi, Lydia. Lydia's in again this week. It's great to see you. And anybody else that's not on screen with me, your comments should hopefully come through in Facebook or YouTube so I can reply. All right, so let's get started on the content. Hey, Leota, how are you? Nice to see you. I can't hear you guys right now because you're not on screen, but I can see you. So it's just nice to wave and say hi. All right, here we go. So I actually wrote up like this little story, and just to give us a kind of a frame of reference. So imagine, for a lot of us, this is a typical story. Okay, You imagine getting up in the morning when the sun rises. You have a healthy breakfast and you work out and you have a great exercise and a great workout. Then you head off to work where you have a fun time with completing all of your tasks, and it goes smoothly and easily with all of your friendly coworkers. And you enjoy your day. And then you go home and have a beautiful meal with your family or your friends. And after you have your meal, you decide to go for a long walk in fresh air near a park that has beautiful trees in it. And you do this before bed, so because you know that that's going to help to relax you for bed and get in some good fresh air. When you're ready for bed, you get into bed, it's warm, it's cozy, and you decide to read a book or look at a magazine, just something to fill your mind with beautiful ideas and inspirations that help you to dream. And when you sleep, you dream about all of the fun things you're going to do, manifesting your life, maybe plans that you're thinking of having for the weekend. And you fall asleep at a very reasonable hour and you fall asleep easily. You sleep throughout the night with these beautiful dreams of all of the things that you're creating, good things that you're creating for your life. And your sleep is peaceful and rejuvenating. I want you to note that I started this by saying, you imagine getting up in the morning. You imagine getting up when the sun rises. You imagine having a healthy breakfast. But in reality, what tends to happen is more something like this. Instead, you go to sleep. You in the morning, the sun comes up, but you don't even notice. Your alarm goes off. You snooze it. You sleep in. And maybe on your second or third alarm, you decide to get up. And at that point, it's actually you're getting up because now you have to. It's way later than you expected to get up or wanted to get up, and you've run out of time. You can't do your morning exercise, and there's not even enough time to have a healthy breakfast. So you just grab a coffee and maybe toast a waffle, and you might even be eating that or drinking that on the way to work. And your way to work is now a rush to work. And all the way there, you're stressing about getting there on time, but you're pretty sure it's going to work out fine. But you're more stressing about how boring and stressful the job is going to be and how much you wish you didn't even have to deal with some of the people that you're going to be dealing with at work. And you're also thinking about how people are asking too much of you and putting too much pressure on you at work. And it's a bit of a stress to get everything done in half the time than what you really need. You end up working late because there's so much stress and so much pressure on you. And by the time you're done and leaving, you just want to get home. You're not even thinking about cooking a meal. You just pick up takeout and you just want to have more time to relax. And so in order to get your mind off of all the stuff that happened during the day, you end up just scrolling on your phone, or you end up putting on a TV drama. You're going to watch some kind of CSI Miami or Crime and Punishment type thing. There's so many shows on TV like that, but you're doing that because it helps get your mind off of the stresses of work. You end up watching TV way later than you should because you're just trying to tire your mind out and keep it busy so you're not overthinking. And by the time it's time to go to bed, you're too tired to even go out and think about having a walk outside. So you go to bed and you end up just scrolling your phone until your mind is tired enough that you can fall asleep easily. So you put your phone away, and instead of falling asleep easily while your eyes are closed, all you're thinking about is all the stresses from the day that you didn't end up dealing with because you're just passing time scrolling or watching TV. And now you're starting to stress about all the things that are going to happen tomorrow. And you end up staying up, laying in bed, staying up even later than you wanted to. And you fall asleep, and it's a rough night because of the stress. You're rolling around, and the next morning you sleep in past the alarm. You snooze it a couple of times. You run out of time, so you grab a coffee, toast a waffle, and you go on about your day. So this is more of a reality of what's happening. And the first story is really an imagination, an imagining of this beautiful life that you can have for yourself. So what happened? What was the big difference? Oh, I see a comment coming in. Brian says, I just got a burger and a hot dog takeout after work. So thanks, Brian, for joining in. Your comment is in Facebook, so it's public. So it's fun to actually show some of these. And another person said that her life is somewhere in between those two stories. So what happened between having the imagination of this beautiful day that you're going to have and the actual happening of it. Okay. So here's the big answer. I'm going to get rid of that ticker tape here. Most of the time what's happening is you're just getting stuck in your head. Okay. So, and what I mean by that is you have the imagination and you see yourself taking the action, but right at the moment of taking the action, you basically either second guess yourself or doubt yourself, or you start talking yourself out of doing it. And this happens because either a fear of the experience of doing it, or it's because you're in an old habit. And so this turns into, well, you know what, it was a rough night and it was a rough day at work. So I'll start tomorrow. So by the way, the number one day of the week when all diets start is tomorrow. And it's also the number one day when everyone quit smoking and drinking is tomorrow. So George is saying, checking in, saying, hi, dinner is served. And yeah, we know what George is going through. So let me just bring those comments back up. So the thing about this is that we have a tendency of imagining the destination of where we want to go. We're imagining being on the beach. We're imagining imagining having the bikini body, but we don't really prefer to imagine all of the dieting, all of the workouts, and all of the time needed to get to that bikini body. Even when we think about, we're going to, it'd be really nice to have a roast chicken with some nice potatoes and maybe some rosemary or thyme. And I'd love to actually maybe steam some rice and have a nice jasmine rice with that chicken and those potatoes and some nice carrots. Like we can imagine the smell and the experience of eating it, but we don't tend to imagine, okay, now I'm imagining myself going to the grocery store, walking through the aisles, standing in line, picking everything up, driving back home, getting everything set up, imagining cooking it all. We don't tend to imagine all the steps because those are generally associated with discomfort. And that's why we like to just jump to the end result and imagine that. But that's essentially what really gets in our way when we're trying to actually make our dreams a reality. We tend to associate change with discomfort. So changing from where we are right now, let's say we're at work and we're imagining getting home and there's just a meal there. We kind of jump to that end destination, but all of the change that has to happen between where we are right now and suddenly sitting at home eating that dinner, we don't like all those little changes and all those little actions. And our brain doesn't like that because it hasn't become a habit yet. And our brains very much associate things that are familiar and things that are habit. We associate those as safe. And when things that are familiar and habit are safe, we call that comfort and peace or safe or happiness. But really in the mind, what's happening is we're associating things that are familiar with safe, okay, and predictable. And we must make the journey towards a goal a familiar experience and associate that journey towards the goal, associate that with something that's familiar and associate that with something that is getting us a good thing. Okay, because we tend to associate all the little steps with something that's just aggravating or annoying or tiring, be more common comment. That's nice. One person says a garden that they imagine having when spring comes, and the difference between that and the end result of what that garden actually looks like. And it's, again, to even apply that, it's because we don't tend to visualize ourselves pulling out tools, walking them over to the garden, actually the act of pulling weeds. If we imagine ourselves doing the actions towards the goal is inevitable. This is the big trick. This is the big secret. It's inevitable that if we imagine ourselves weeding the garden and planting seeds and just simply spending time in the garden, it's inevitable that the end result will be a better looking garden. But we will stop ourselves from taking those actions because the brain likes fast and easy when it comes to making changes. So Our visualization ability is very, very strong. It's very powerful. And things that we visualize in our mind can actually have a neurophysical effect on our bodies. So if we visualize ourselves simply sitting in a finished garden, to use one person's example, and the garden's all beautiful, at the point where we go to take action to make that garden happen, if we haven't visualized the experience in our bodies of getting the tools out and going and digging the garden, if we haven't visualized that, then our body doesn't have any familiarity. But when we're visualizing sitting in the finished garden, if we visualize that enough, here's the important part. It goes from being a dream in the mind, it goes from being dream to actually something that feels more like a reality. Because in our dream state, our brains and our bodies actually can't genuinely tell the difference between something that's happened and something that we think is happening. And if we think about every little detail of the final result, the smells of the garden, the look of the garden, the beauty and the colors, the experience of relaxing in the garden, our body will actually start to create physical reactions to these thoughts. We will become calmer. I'm going to say may, because if I say will, it sounds like medical advice, and we're not allowed to do that. You may become calmer, even though studies show that you will become calmer. And studies show that if you even simply visualize certain colors, that will have an effect on your body, and you can become calmer or more excited or more driven. So today, what we're talking about is trying to get out of the dream and into making it a reality. And what's the biggest hindrance to making that happen? Take a look at the comments that are coming in. Yes, Brian, the key is to visualize someone else doing the garden for us. Now, here's the thing about that, because when it comes to achieving a goal, the action steps towards achieving the goal, if you're visualizing yourself, so just to directly relate this, the goal, if that is all that you're focused on, okay, I know it's a joke, but we're going to be, comments are flying in, so I'm going to take them one at a time. All right, Georgia, hold on. So, okay, if we're visualizing a garden being done, and I'm going to call it out, say Lydia would give this example, Brian's kind of mentioning it. If we're visualizing the garden being done and not the action steps towards getting there, there's actually not genuinely anything wrong with that yet, until we make the decision that we want the garden to actually happen in reality. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more, but we have to be flexible on how we get it. Because if the ultimate dream in reality is to sit in a finished garden, we don't have to actually have action steps in our brain of pulling out and doing gardening. We might have to visualize calling a landscaper, calling a gardener, calling someone else to actually go and make our garden for us. So I can't tell if that was really a joke, because Brian's actually a funny guy and very lighthearted, but to some degree, this is actually the key, is to visualize that it's happening, that we don't always have to visualize that we're the ones doing all of the steps, but to be more specific about which steps we're willing to take. And that point is coming up. I got that written out, so let's get to that. Okay. George is mentioning a visualization board, and a vision board, as they're normally called, is when some people are very kinesthetic, some people are very auditory, and some people are very visual. So if a person is very auditory, they have to journal and write out the details of what they're visioning. If a person is very kinesthetic, they won't ever actually have a full visual of something happening until they get out and practice doing it. And the practice, or going to let's say joining a friend who's already doing it, or watching a video of it being done, and trying to imagine taking the physical actions, or even taking those actions, that's what they might have to do if they're not very visual. Another thing a person can do if they're more auditory or kinesthetic and not highly visual is make a vision board, which means find photos on the internet. I keep saying on the internet because we used to say find photos in magazines, and actually print them out, or even just do it up on your computer and put in pictures of a human being in the photo taking action. I think where some people also fail on a vision board is they just show a picture of like a garden, but they don't show a picture of somebody actually making the garden. And this is kind of a point to what I was just making, that we tend to visualize the end result, but we don't end up ever taking action towards the end result because we don't really visualize ourselves taking any action. So a vision board should include, in Brian's case, a person on a phone with like holding like the phone number of a landscaper. That's okay too. Maybe that's part of your vision. But visualizing, thanks, Georgia. So, but the key here is that we have to, all right, let's do this, because I'm talking out the points that I wrote and we're keeping it on track. At the point where we must take an action step that we didn't spend time visualizing the action step, our mind might reject the action because that action isn't what we had planned, and so it's not familiar. So it is actually important as part of bringing your dream to reality, being clear about what you're willing to do and not willing to do. Let's get to that. We're going to get to that. So I'm going to move forward through the content, because a lot of the stuff you're asking, I have literal step-by-step written out, and it might directly answer these questions. The garden often has a mind of its own. We don't know what is going to grow and what will be eaten by rabbits. And I think that, to a degree, is all part of your definition of that goal. So if you're visualizing, because I know somebody who like fought like everything to keep deer out of their garden, and they built taller fences, and literally the deer just jumped over the fences, and then they built like wires to like defend their garden, and the like animals literally just pulled the wires out, and stuff always found a way. And so at some point, there is a matter of how much commitment you have towards your goal. And if you're flexible, these are all literally points that I've already made. So, okay. So because you guys are asking questions that I'm directly answering in my bullet points, I'm going to move through the bullet points, and I'll answer your comments by saying, that answer is coming. That answer is coming. Okay. And if the answer is not coming, I'll directly answer you. But please keep sending in the comments. That's amazing. It's wild. It's live. It's fast paced, and it keeps me moving. That's great. I love it. I love the energy. Thank you, everyone, for being here. It's awesome. Okay. So, because I don't want to lose track of the actual defining feature of why people bail on actually getting there, because this is the thing that we're really focused on here. Let me just move something out of my way here. Because I have Jatuska is in, and her comments are only on Facebook and not showing up here, so I can't show them. So I'm going to read. Hey, Jatuska, nice to see you. And Jatuska is saying she's really great at visualizing, and thank you very much. Great to have you here. Okay, so I'm just reading comments coming from all the different stream areas. Okay, back on track. Okay. We might doubt that we are capable of taking an action step if we haven't really visualized ourselves doing it, or practiced it, or seen somebody else guide us into doing it. If we've never taken the action before or seen somebody else do it, even though we have every necessary ability to take an action step, the doubt in doing it comes from the unfamiliarity. And if we don't have a way of somebody showing us or practicing, it comes down to the visualization, the power of visualization, or using a vision board. Okay. The key is to know what the action steps are, and to visualize yourself physically taking those actions. Because the whole point of what we're doing today is in our content today is we're talking about how do we get out of the vision of a dream coming true. How do we get out of that vision and into the embodied action of whatever is required to make that visual come true? Okay, that's the main key here is how do you get out of your head and take action? Okay, so it's going to reiterate this. You must combine the visual of the dream with the dream result with the body sensations of taking an action towards the result. This way, you can avoid the discomfort of taking an action when the time comes, because you're making that action more and more familiar and more comfortable. So our biggest challenge, I'm just going to hide this for a second. Our biggest challenge towards achieving a goal, okay, there tends to be roughly really three. I'm just going to say three, okay, because I haven't counted them out in my head. Three main challenges to achieving a goal. Number one is we just genuinely don't believe that it's even possible. We don't even bother even going down the route of a goal because it's so not in our realm of possibility. We don't waste time on it. Okay. So we don't believe that it's possible. We have literally, or we totally believe that it's possible, but we have absolutely no idea what the action steps are. So we just don't even know what to do. And at the point where we know it's possible and we know what to do, we simply just doubt ourselves. We just don't believe that we're going to achieve it. Okay. So our biggest challenge to making our dream a reality is that we don't believe it's possible and we don't know what the action steps are towards the dream goal. Okay. And another one that is common is, even if you know it's possible, even if you know you're capable, even if you know the action steps and you're not doubting yourself, you may simply just not have the resources. You might just not have access to the tools to do gardening that day. Okay. And then the whole thing kind of falls apart. And you may not have access to somebody with tools or the money to pay them to do it for you. So let's go through this. And what I've typed out here as being kind of a step-by-step play out. Okay. On getting your dream to come a reality. Revolving around converting visualization to action steps. Just want to see if Jatuska's comment, from my personal experience, the main thing is the intent and knowing I will attract the right circumstances, tools, people, etc. I don't need to necessarily know how it will manifest. Yeah. And so Jatuska, I think it was last Wednesday, I did a live that was more about manifesting. And in that, because in the realm of like the secret and manifesting, we only need to know the what, not the how. Okay. So today what we're doing is we're focusing on people that are directly related with the how. Okay. Because sometimes we just say like, last week I was talking about $1 million dropping in my lap, and I don't really need to know how it's going to happen. I just have to really believe and see that $1 million could literally drop on my lap. And that sets forth all of the cosmic quantum reality string theory in play, that if I have enough power behind that belief, that it starts to influence things, life and people around me, and they may simply take action for me while I'm sitting here meditating on it, and suddenly somehow $1 million shows up on my lap. So that's last week's stream. Today, this week's stream is for helping people who are actually requiring to take action to get out of their heads and stop self-sabotaging, so that they can take that action. Okay. So just because Jatuska missed out on last week, just to give some frame of reference. But you're totally right, Jatuska. That's from a perspective of manifesting, and what you're saying, of course, you could quite possibly just simply manifest somebody coming over one day and looking at your garden going, I have a friend who really loves gardening. I should probably get them over here to do some work on your backyard. And you may not have taken any action other than just visualizing a great garden. And that's moving into more of like a energetic or spiritual realm. And what we're dealing with here is at the level of mind, emotion, and body. So this is like fully actually being embodied and taking the action, taking ownership and responsibility. But so many points on so many different levels. And I tend to be surrounded by people that are amazing at all these different levels. And so I'm have to define the parameters of the talk sometimes. All right. Step by one. Okay. Do you believe that your dream is possible? By the way, this all gets recorded and is getting put up on YouTube. So if you can't take all these notes, I write them out so that you can replay this in Facebook or on YouTube, and you can come back and check the notes after if you don't have to write them all out right now because time. Do you believe, number one, do you believe that, or do you know that your dream is actually possible to even begin with? Because if we're talking about trying to dream of a world where we're breathing underwater, as if we're amphibians, that works just fine in our dreams. But the chances of us walking out tomorrow and manifesting amphibian-like abilities and swimming with the dolphins, I mean, chances are that's probably not going to happen. It's probably not possible in our current state of reality. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean you're going to come up with some kind of device and whatever and get scuba gear and all this kind of stuff. I'm talking quite literally. Some things just really aren't possible in a certain amount of time. So first and foremost, do you believe or know that your dream is possible? Okay. And if it's not possible for you, or if you don't know it's possible, have you seen it, something that gives you the idea that it's possible? Have you seen enough examples or similar things that get you to dreaming that maybe it could be possible? And are you willing to even take the action steps to make something that's impossible possible? Okay. Can you visualize it happening? And it starts there, but it's going to quickly go into step number 2, because step number 2 is, even though you can visualize it as being possible, like, children dreaming of breathing underwater or flying. I'm saying children, but I actually do that all the time. So people dreaming of breathing underwater and flying, that's my lucid dream as I fly. And I don't know. I know I'm lucid dreaming when I'm flying on purpose, but I don't expect to be able to do that when I'm awake. So even if I know that what I'm dreaming about is possible, unlike just randomly flying, am I actually capable of achieving it? So even though in my dream it's possible, do I physically have the 3D body or ability to do it? Right now, no. And I'm not expecting to have that tomorrow. So I need to make sure that we're merging the visualizing that it is possible with the science, let's call it that it can be possible. Once we get past that, can I visualize? So step 1 was, can you visualize that the dream is possible at all in the world? Okay. Do we have access to the physics and energy sources to make it possible? If it is possible at all, now, is it possible for you? So step 2 is specifically, can you imagine yourself doing it? Step 3. Okay. And while you're imagining yourself living in this dream and experiencing this dream, what do you need to change about yourself as you are now in order to achieve what you think is possible? Is that change possible? So I can imagine just, growing gills and swimming underwater. I can imagine that. But is that change that I need to happen? I may not necessarily believe that that's possible. So you have to believe that you're possible and that it's possible. They're kind of different things. After that, once you know that it is possible and you believe that you can achieve it, now we move on to what are the steps? Can you define what the steps are between where you are right now and where you would be after the dream became a reality? And it's not just you. Do you know what the steps are of your garden, going from where it is to where it would be with a bunch of plants in it? Because it might be more of an action step for your garden and not so much an action step for you to take. Okay. But that then defines the action plan or the steps. So a lot of people can get to this point, and when you know what those action steps are, you have to be able to visualize either yourself or someone, in the case of what Brian mentioned, that someone is capable of taking those action steps. But you might still need to take the action step in the case of Jatuska's comment. You might still have to take the action step of meditating on it. You might still need to take the action step of saying, I need to daily practice the intention and belief that I'm attracting it and attracting the right circumstances, in her words. Yeah. Yes. So here's the big one. This is where I tend to ruffle feathers with my coaching clients. Are you willing to commit to breaking the habit of your current life? Because even while everything's possible and you know what all the action steps are, if you're not willing to take the steps, if you are willing to take the steps, are you willing to look at the habit that you're in right now and let that go and make changes to who and what you are, who and what you are, and who and what your life is in order to get the dream? What are you willing to exchange to have that dream come true? Because if you're not willing to exchange the energy of getting the tools out to go work on the garden, and if you're not willing to exchange the money to have somebody else do your garden, then all of the dreams and action steps, it's just not going to happen because you're not willing to take the step. But aside from this requiring breaking your current habit and lifestyle, this also requires you to change your description of yourself. So if you don't call yourself a gardener, how will you ever garden? Okay? If you don't call yourself handy or have a green thumb or resourceful, how will you ever go get the resources? So a major reason why people actually stop, just letting you know, I'm having to practice a little bit of focus here because I didn't realize that because I have Facebook open in order to see like Jatuska's comments, that's allowing for Messenger to be open. And like my Messenger is now ringing off the hook right now and I don't know how to block it. And it's literally coming up in front of the stream. So anyway, just a little bit of transparency. I'm going to just see what I can do to ignore that. Okay. Like I have headphones on and I'm just like, da-ding, da-ding. This is literally happening in my ears right now. Da-ding, da-ding. And I'm like trying to read and it's blocking Jatuska right now and everybody's comments. All right, I'm going to get back on track. Okay, we got the action plan. You're willing to commit. You're willing to break habits. You can visualize yourself embodying the title that you would have if you were in that dream. If the dream result came, what would you call yourself? And can you start calling yourself that now? And start to work on changing your habits of what you're calling yourself and how you see yourself. So that starts to encourage action within your body and starts to turn away any doubt. Step 5, what resources do you need? If you see the action steps, are you willing to do what it takes to get those resources? Like call a gardener. Do you need money, education, technical skill, experience, support staff, like the gardener, transportation, coaching even? Maybe it's just support. Sometimes all you really need, like in the case of coaching, is somebody that is going to just keep you accountable, check in with you. And this is why it's very important to state out loud and share with others and dream out loud what it is you're planning on doing. So that becomes the first step. But I guarantee for all the resources that you will need, you require belief. You must believe that it's possible or that you're possible. You must have some form of desire or passion for that to happen. Without the passion or desire, there's no emotional or energetic charge for the world to react and for you to become magnetic. You will require patience because you can totally have the dream of getting a PhD, but there's no way you can get that PhD in an hour legally. So yes, legally in an hour. Yes, you can get it in an hour, but you know what I'm saying. Okay. You will require tenacity. That means resiliency. You will require staying steadily on the visioning of the goal. But you have to have flexibility because you might find that as you start on a path towards a goal, that how you get there is going to change. So the end goal and visualizing yourself living and embodying the end goal, the dream, might require some flexibility on the path towards the dream. So while you do still have to have the tenacity and the passion to visualize yourself taking asking for help on what the action steps are, visualizing yourself taking the action steps. You have to be flexible in knowing that you're going to learn something along the way and that it won't matter as long as it's getting you towards the end goal. Quickly check in on a comment. Yes. I'm about to say this actually. So you can do it. So I say what you are going to do out loud in the form of a declaration, kind of like what Brian just said. You can do it. I can do it. Okay. But it's declaring I am going to do, and you have to say what it is. So I have it in quotes. So I'm going to garden today. That's future. What's super important is in the moment, I am doing it. Okay. This is another thing that stops people from transitioning from a dream to a reality, to an action. What stops people from getting out of their head is they keep talking about something that's in the future. And we need to bring, at some point, something has to become present in the moment. I am gardening. I am calling the landscaper to garden it for me, whatever the case may be. Okay? If you keep talking yourself out of the action, I am doing, no, I'm not. I can, well, maybe I can't. If you just keep second guessing yourself at the moment where you're taking the action step, okay? This is proven by Mel Robbins, okay? Mel Robbins, one of the most successful speakers of all time, actually, and the most well-paid speaker in the world, top 5 in the world right now. She created something called the 5. I can't remember the name of her book, but it's this 5, counting from 5 to 1 is the action step. So we have something called analysis paralysis, where we think a little bit too much sometimes about what we need to do because we're a little bit too worried of all the things that can go wrong, or doing it wrong, or being ashamed of ourselves, or whatever the case may be. But we, at some point, do need to take some kind of action. So if you've caught yourself and you say, I'm going to go gardening. Oh, I don't really want to go outside. It's not the greatest weather and I don't want to be so chilly. And you start talking yourself out of it. This is because you haven't formed the habit yet and you haven't formed a comfort level with the action. So allow yourself to take a break, go do something else, but do it only for about 5 minutes. Okay. Give yourself just go easy on yourself. Don't judge yourself. It's okay. Go do something else for 5 or 10 minutes. Okay. 5 or 10 minutes later, tell yourself you're going to come back to it and try again. When the time comes that you're ready to try again, simply do this. Literally, I'm going to go outside and garden. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just do it. Just run at it. Just avoid any analysis paralysis and literally just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. What this does is it bypasses the critical thinking center in your brain, and it's which is I'm pretty sure is somewhere around the prefrontal cortex or something like this, and it keeps you in the imagining part of your brain, which is more towards the back of your brain, and it keeps you in an embodiment. It stops your amygdala from firing and thinking of all kinds of stress. What you want to do is stay in the body of the calm that you're in. That you're in the calm because you haven't overthought yet. So while you're in that calm, your amygdala hasn't kicked in and you don't have like adrenaline pumping and cortisol and all this kind of stuff. So while you're in a state of calm, you just say, oh, my alarm's going off. It's time to go do this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go, and just stay out of your brain and pump your body up to take an action. So the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just do it is an embodiment action. Okay. I'm being very detailed about that, even though it's so easy to state, but I'm being very clear in case you actually try to do this for yourself and it doesn't work for you. It's simply because you're not doing it right. And this is Mel Robbins saying this, like literally, she's like, if 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just do it isn't working for you, it's because you simply don't even actually want to do the thing that you're going to do. Like you have to genuinely want it. Scientific fact, she says it works for pretty much everybody. So that's her. And she's got the studies to show it. And tens of thousands of people have done it. Okay. Boom. You've gotten past the analysis paralysis. You're in the moment. You got your gardening tools out and out. I'm just really going on the gardening tools thing because you are physically here and actually live mentioning this with me. So I'm going to use your examples. Once you start the activity, stay out of your judgmental thoughts because your mind is going to try and bring yourself back into an old habit. The one side of, what is this? The left side of my face is starting to glow because the sun has just come out, and the camera is not designed or set up right now for this bright scene. So we're just going to go with it. So once you start the activity, stay focused on the feeling in your body of the activity and frame it towards something that is something very enjoyable, or you see the value of it. So even if you can't tell yourself that it's enjoyable and you're loving it, you can't talk yourself out of it, you can't like whitewash it, that's fine. Just really continue to tell yourself that what you're doing is valuable. I'm going to get really close. Valuable, okay? When you value it, your brain will start to find ways to like it. You don't even have to say you like it, you just have to say you value it. So, play some music, keep your mind busy or focused on what you're doing. This is a mindfulness practice. Once you get past the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you're in your body, you're moving. Now it's mindfulness of the physicality of what you're doing as being valuable, even if it's painful, even if it's going to make you sore. If that's what is required to get you to the goal, like going to the gym, sorry, Brian, and you know this one actually directly, Brian, you ain't calling anybody to go to the gym for you and you end up with a good body. Brian has totally put in the work, so I'm just using that one. Okay? Remind yourself continuously that you are making your dream come true and that you really love that you are making your dream come true and you value it. Congratulate yourself for any movement towards your dream. Even if you go do the gardening or go to the gym for 30 seconds, you are 30 seconds closer towards your dream. Do not criticize and don't backtrack. An imperfect action is always going to be better than a thought of a perfect action that you never do. Okay? Do it wrong, do it and learn, do anything, but get your body into the habit of doing something. Get past that habit breaking period, which is a minimum of 7 days, by the way, and usually 21, but minimum 7 days. You got to keep at something before you really get over that second guessing and that doubting and that analysis paralysis. Okay, so stay motivated and just tell yourself whatever it is that you're doing is something, and that something is getting you closer to your goal. Whoops, did I just delete that? Oh, there goes that point. Stay motivated. I'm trying to remember what I wrote there. That's funny. Stay motivated and remind yourself you're always one step closer. Congratulate yourself for any movement. Wait, there's got to be some other point here. No. Oh, right. Yes, I accidentally hit a delete button on my final ending point, and it didn't give me a warning that I was about to delete it. So that's life. So, oh, nice. Yeah, Jajuska says that she does the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it totally works. So thanks for that. Social proof. That's what that's called. Brian, you're the best. Thank you so much. Big heart, Brian. Lots of love in him. And I'm glad you're here. You made it out today, Brian. Let's go into the other chats here. The step I took this week was, can I read this out loud? I'm not saying who it is. Okay. The step I took this week was canceling the afternoon bus for my daughter at school. My garden is a community garden across the city, 3 blocks from her school. Now I'm forcing myself to get there and work for a half work in order to pick her up at school. So, it sounds like what you're saying is that you're visualizing all of the ways that you can make it fit within your life so that you're not talking yourself out of doing it because of the hassle. You're actually finding ways to talk yourself into valuing the result. And so you're finding ways to make it work. Does that sound accurate? Yes. Okay. I'm just trying to support you on that. You're probably typing. I think you're typing right now. So, just so everybody knows, some of these chats are private chats and some of them are public chats. So I don't read, the private chats, or I don't read who says the private chats. Okay. So, any feedback, any questions? Because we're at the 50-minute mark, and I wanted to make sure I got through the content to allow for this time to be able to interact with you guys. Super love that you're all here with me, and it really warms my heart that you're here. I'm glowing more and more by the second. Thanks, son. I forgot to close the blinds. I didn't think it was going to be sunny, but I'm really happy it is. Yeah. So I hope that served you. I'm here. This is Q&A time. Anybody want to say anything or share anything? You go right ahead. And if not, we're going to end up ending early. Now I have to try and remember. Oh, I know. I have the note. I'm going to pull up what the actual last thing I was going to say is. Good thing I wrote this out in Word before I put it into. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Look at this. Look at the power of this software. I'm going to put it right back in. Let's do this. Create a banner. Go. Show the last banner that I accidentally deleted. Stay motivated by watching or reading about inspirational stories of others that have achieved your dream. This one, I'm glad I copied and pasted that and put it back up. This one, I use this one all the time. If I start to fall out of a habit, if I start to fall into a negative thought pattern, if I talk myself out of it before I break my old habit and really create the new one, I usually get myself back on track by watching videos, inspirational videos of other people that are doing it, because it really does help us all to know that we're not alone. We tend to put ourselves down as if it's us, we're failing. We're not really stepping up to play, we're not good enough. Other people can do it, but not us. But we need to have what they call like role models, right? Heroes, people that we look up to. And that really helps us get through that initial phase of moving from the dream state and going into the reality, is when we can not just see ourselves doing it, but actually like look up to other people that went through the hard times just like what we're going through. And it helps us to know we're not alone. It's as simple as that. We're not so different. Other people have a hard time just like us, and they can get through it, and so can we. So that's a really good one that really helps us. So that's the last point. Yeah, I'm not going to share that fully, Brian, but Brian's just mentioning that he's going to make use of some of this so he can, stay motivated and keep moving towards a life experience that he's been dreading. And I'm hoping that this does help you to move through that and stay motivated. So, hope it helps you, Brian. That's great. Nice. So another person says that that's on level with my week. I have been studying the Ascended Masters for inspiration. That's really awesome. Yeah, and I love that. Just keeping the floor open before closing, just in case there's anything else coming through. I love, this is my favorite thing. So you guys are actually already visualizing how you're going to be putting the visualizing into practice. Like you're literally doing it right now. You're seeing yourselves being capable. You're seeing that you can make use of this. You're seeing that you can overcome these challenges. So like, this is it. I mean, you're literally doing it in real time. I love that. All right. So yeah, I think we're going to come to a close early today. And thank you. Thank you to Brian. Thank you, Georgia. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lydia and Jatuska. And thank you to everyone that came in for just a few seconds to see what I was doing and left. But thanks a lot for checking it out. You're not here now, but I'm saying thank you to anyway. And it was a good one. I moved through it pretty fast because I did want to leave the end open for everybody to make comments. But if there's no questions, that means that at least you did catch it all well. And I do appreciate that. So it's been a good week. That's awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you, Brian. You're actually a very good role model for others as well. And you've been through a lot and you keep improving every day. So I'm really proud of you and I'm grateful for you too. It's good to know you. All right. I'm gonna do this thing now. I'm gonna go over to my banners, my brand thing. I'm gonna start quietly playing the outro music. I have to do this all manually, but you get to hear what I'm doing. Oh, there's some like exit music happening. And then I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna show this card, even though I'm still talking. And it's gonna say, just a reminder that I'm doing this every Wednesday, 6:30. Tell your friends. And And I thank you all for being here. I hope you all have a great week, and we'll see you again next week. All right. Blessings. Much love.